Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, where the ancient continent of Lemuria once stood in all its glory, there lies a truth that has pulsed through human DNA for millennia. This is the story of Amara, the last priestess of the Crystal Temple, and the sacred knowledge that survived the Great Sinking. The temple bells rang with an otherworldly resonance that morning, as if the very earth was trying to warn its children of what was to come. Amara stood before the massive crystal that had been the heart of Lemurian civilization for over 50,000 years. Its blue-white light reflecting in her dark eyes like captured starlight. She was young, perhaps 25 in our years, yet her soul carried the wisdom of countless lifetimes. "The visions grow stronger, Master Theron," she whispered to the elderly priest who had been her guide since childhood. "I see the waters rising, the temples crumbling, our people scattered to the winds like seeds of forgotten dreams." Theron approached slowly, his weathered hands trembling as they touched the crystal's surface. For decades, he had served as the keeper of the Akashic records, the living library of all human experience. "The time of transition approaches, dear child. The great cycle is completing itself, and we must prepare for what comes next." The crystal began to pulse with increasing intensity, and suddenly the air around them shimmered with ethereal light. Ancient symbols appeared floating in the space between them, hieroglyphs that predated any earthly language. Amara had been trained since birth to read these sacred markings, for she was the chosen one, the bridge between the dying world of Lemuria and the emerging consciousness of humanity. The record speaks of a time when the continents will shift, when the old ways will be forgotten, and when humanity will enter a long sleep of separation, Theron explained, his voice heavy with the weight of prophecy. But it also speaks of an awakening, a time when the ancient wisdom will return through those who carry the cellular memory of our teachings. As days passed, the signs became undeniable. The sacred pools began to bubble with an unnatural heat. The temple cats refused to enter the inner sanctum, and the star formations that had guided Lemurian navigation for centuries began to shift in impossible ways. The Council of Elders convened in emergency session, their faces grave as they contemplated the inevitable. "We must act swiftly," declared Elder Zara, her silver hair gleaming in the crystal light. "The knowledge cannot be lost. Too much depends on its preservation." Amara found herself at the center of a desperate plan. Using the advanced consciousness technologies that made Lemurian civilization possible, the elders would encode the essential teachings directly into her cellular structure, making her a living vessel of ancient wisdom. The process would be dangerous, potentially fatal, but it was their only hope for preserving the sacred knowledge. "You will carry within you the memories of our healing temples, our understanding of crystal technology, our knowledge of the subtle realms," Theron explained as they prepared for the ritual. "More importantly, you will carry the remembrance of humanity's true divine nature, the understanding that we are not separate beings struggling in isolation, but interconnected aspects of a single cosmic consciousness." The ritual began at dawn, with Amara lying in the center of a circle of 13 master crystals, each one attuned to a different aspect of universal knowledge. As the elders chanted in the ancient tongue, the crystals began to resonate with harmonics that seemed to reach into the very fabric of reality itself. Waves of information flooded through Amara's consciousness. She experienced lifetimes of accumulated wisdom, saw the rise and fall of civilizations, understood the cosmic purpose behind humanity's evolutionary journey. The knowledge was overwhelming, beautiful, and terrifying in its scope. "I see it all," she gasped, her voice barely audible above the crystal harmonics. "The purpose of the fall, the necessity of forgetting, the planned awakening. We are not ending, we are transforming." If you enjoy these kinds of stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our content. And tell us in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to know. But even as the encoding process reached its climax, the earth began to shake with increasing violence. The great crystal cracked, sending shards of light cascading through the temple. The walls groaned and shifted as the very foundations of the continent began to buckle under immense geological pressure. "The time has come," Theron announced, his face serene despite the chaos around them. "The great waters are rising. We must trust in the plan that was set in motion before time began." As the final encoding was completed, Amara felt herself transformed. No longer was she merely a young priestess of Lemuria. She had become something greater, a repository of ancient wisdom, a seed of remembrance that would survive the coming catastrophe. The evacuation was swift but orderly. Using their advanced understanding of consciousness projection, many of the Lemurian masters transferred their awareness to higher dimensional planes, choosing to continue their work from beyond the physical realm. Others, like Amara, chose to remain in physical form, accepting the mission of preserving the knowledge through incarnation after incarnation. As the great continent began its final descent into the ocean, Amara stood on the deck of one of the last evacuation vessels, watching the crystal temples disappear beneath the waves. The sight was heartbreaking, yet she felt no despair. The knowledge lived on within her, and through her it would live on in humanity. "This is not an ending," she whispered to the wind. "This is a chrysalis. We are dying so that something greater might be born." In the centuries that followed, Amara reincarnated again and again, always drawn to roles that would allow her to plant seeds of ancient wisdom in human consciousness. She appeared as a temple priestess in Egypt, encoding sacred geometry into the pyramids. She walked as a mystic in ancient Greece, sharing the secrets of the soul with those ready to receive them. She manifested as a healer in medieval Europe, keeping alive the memory of humanity's connection to the natural world. In each lifetime, she would experience moments of profound remembrance, when the veil between worlds grew thin and the full scope of her mission became clear. These were sacred moments when the ancient knowledge would surface from the depths of her cellular memory, reminding her of who she truly was and why she had chosen this path. The modern world eventually emerged, and with it came new challenges. Humanity had indeed entered the long sleep of separation, forgetting their divine nature and believing themselves to be isolated beings struggling for survival in a hostile universe. Yet even in this darkness, the seeds of remembrance continued to sprout. Amara's consciousness began to fragment across multiple simultaneous incarnations, each one carrying a piece of the ancient wisdom. Some became scientists, rediscovering the principles of crystal technology through quantum physics. Others became healers, reawakening humanity's innate connection to the subtle energies that the Lemurians had mastered. Still others became teachers and writers, sharing the forgotten truths through stories and spiritual practices. The awakening that the ancient prophecies had foretold was beginning. Around the world, people began to remember. They felt drawn to crystals without understanding why. They dreamed of vast underwater cities and felt an inexplicable connection to the ocean. They experienced spontaneous healings and moments of expanded consciousness that defied rational explanation. In meditation centers and healing temples, in universities and research laboratories, in the quiet moments of individual spiritual practice, the ancient knowledge began to resurface. The cellular memory that Amara had carried for millennia was activating in thousands, then millions of human beings. The time of the great remembering had arrived. Humanity was beginning to awaken from its long sleep, to remember its true nature as divine beings having a temporary physical experience. The separation was ending, and the reunion with cosmic consciousness was at hand. As the new millennium dawned, Amara's mission entered its final phase. No longer bound to a single physical form, her consciousness had become a guiding presence in the collective awakening of humanity. She worked through dreams and visions, through synchronicities and intuitive insights, helping people remember who they truly were. The crystal temples of Lemuria might lie beneath the ocean, but the wisdom they contained was rising to the surface of human consciousness. The last priestess had fulfilled her sacred duty, preserving the ancient knowledge until the time was right for its return. In the end, Amara understood that the sinking of Lemuria had never been a tragedy. It had been a necessary part of humanity's evolutionary journey, a planned descent into matter so that consciousness could experience itself from a completely new perspective. The forgetting had been as sacred as the remembering, and both were part of a greater cosmic purpose. As she felt her individual consciousness finally merge back into the infinite ocean of universal awareness, Amara smiled. The mission was complete. The knowledge had survived. Humanity was awakening, and the new golden age was about to begin. The ocean that had swallowed Lemuria now seemed to whisper with ancient voices, carrying the memory of a lost civilization forward into a future bright with infinite possibility. The last priestess had kept her promise, and the wisdom of the ages would never again be lost. And if you like this story, you will definitely love the next one that's appearing on your screen. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and activate the notifications. See you in the next one.